Welcome everyone. I am Trisha Chapman, the managing partner of Impressive CV, where we focus on all of the necessary tools for a successful job application. And I would love to welcome this new channel that we have started. So Sabia, thank you so very much. Dubai job search, a winning strategy. I think that it's a great topic to be discussing considering the current job market. So, I'm really honored and thankful to have to start this with you.
Oh, thank you, Trisha. Like you too, I'm super excited. For those of you that don't know me, I'm known as Meet to Be Her. I work as an international career coach where I work with international graduates where I help them with ease and without struggle find their next dream job. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking to yourself, you know what? Getting to the UAE is my dream. I would love the opportunity. I love what you women are going to be talking about. Well, stay tuned because we're going to be talking some really hot strategies for 2022 to be teaching you how to get yourself to the UAE. But also in addition to that, maybe you're already in Dubai and you've been here for some time, but somehow things have got a little bit stale or stagnant, or maybe the work has got a little bit toxic. Perhaps maybe you're working in an environment that feels a little bit toxic to you and you're ready to make that jump, you're ready to make that leap. If that's you, keep on watching because we're going to be talking about a whole ton of strategies. So thank you for joining us. So Trisha, who should be watching this show? Who should be who's going to get value from this?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I guess, we really, having a lot of discussions offline, and we really realized that there were so many people outside of the UAE trying to get employment. Now, whether you're in, Pakistan, India, the subcontinent regions, trying to land a better opportunity to support perhaps family members. You're aiming for that senior or aspiring C-suite position. Maybe you're going from a mid-level to a senior position. Perhaps you're in Canada and you are, reaching out to that to the Middle East market just to gain international experience. Or alternatively, you could already be in Dubai, maybe on a visit visa, or that you're just ready for that next opportunity and you're not really quite sure how to navigate that space. So we've kind of set this channel up, I guess, just to specifically target those who are quite new to Dubai or you are outside of the country looking to come in.
No, that's perfect. And that's good. So what kind of tips, what kind of things are we going to be sharing with everybody today so that, that's going to help them with their job search in Dubai? What we're going to be covering.
Yeah, I thought that it might be nice to start off, navigating what's changed in the market. So, the pandemic's kind of on the back end. If not, it's probably, you could maybe classify it as finished. I mean, no one's really announced it, but the UAE has certainly reduced a lot of restrictions. In fact, there's hardly any compared to what there used to be. So I really wanted to discuss the dynamics of the job market, who's hiring, what changes have we seen, what can you do to then best prepare yourself now that there is a bit of market dynamics.
Oh, well, I love that. And I think you're so right, because that is going to be an influential factor. And it is potentially for some people may even be an obstacle. And so this is where I'm going to sort of encourage each and every one of you that's watching here today, which is that look at that obstacle, look at that sort of roadblock as an opportunity, right? Because mindset is so key to, for job hunting with success, because it stops the struggle and it helps you to thrive. Now, one top tip that I am going to share, and this is good, Trisha's going to share some of her golden nuggets in this, okay, is whenever you're looking to move and you're looking to head into a job market, sometimes when you're looking from the outside in, it can appear more attractive, or perhaps maybe the realities of what it means to live and work in Dubai may not still maybe sort of a little bit of a fantasy, because perhaps you've never been to the country, or maybe you came on a 1-week holiday and now it's enticed you and you're like, okay, I would love to work here. My tip would be is give yourselves, if you can, and I know obviously finance would be a factor to this, but give yourself 3 months. Head on over to Dubai, pack a bag, okay? And if someone was to do that, Trisha, if someone was to come to Dubai for 3 months, just to kind of test the waters, meet some recruitment agencies, talk to some employers, how easy is that to do? And is that, what other things would you say?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think you really hit the nail on the head, and it's really important. We're only just a couple of minutes into this, and this is a really valuable suggestion and tip that you have given, because a lot of times, first of all, you're right. People expect that Dubai is fancy. The salaries are really high. It's tax-free environment. The weather is amazing all year round, which is obviously true, but you do need to make sure that you are going in the right time. So for example, we do have Ramadan coming up,
Yes.
May, June period,
April.
generally April, generally, depending on what
Yeah,
year it is. So April this
yeah,
year.
it's getting earlier.
Absolutely, there you go. So April, Ramadan summer as well. So the recruitment process generally or significantly slows down during the summer period. So you want to be.
I love that. Just FYI, because I feel like somebody watching this might miss that and might be thinking, oh, what is Ramadan? Maybe they're not familiar with, sort of kind of the Muslim month of fasting, okay? And I would suspect that nobody's really interested in doing business, or at least not hiring in Ramadan. And so if you just happen to decide to come along to Dubai and it happened to be the month of Ramadan, because it is a 30-day, is a whole month, okay? You're going to have to take that off that time that you've allocated. So yeah, that's such a big tip. Love that tip, Trisha, that avoid certain holidays. It's a bit like here in the UK, Christmas, New Year's. Not many people are looking to recruit and hire or have that conversation even, because everyone's gone into holiday mode. So definitely. Is there any other holidays or any other sort of time of years where people that should avoid that, that are thinking about coming?
Yeah, so generally speaking, there is the UAE holiday, like the national day in December. But to be quite honest, the bigger period is the Ramadan and the summer. Most hiring managers, execs, the people generally that do a lot of the sign off, pre-COVID used to fly back home during that period. So, the good summer week period, obviously there's no schooling as well. So I would certainly make sure that you are prepared well and truly before Ramadan and the summer to maximize your chances of recruitment and getting replies. So you do have a couple of months, weeks from now until that time. So certainly maximize that, that chance. Now, coming back to your question about the recruiters. So gone are the days, you used to be able to perhaps knock on people's office doors and just pop in or see if someone was available for a quick chat. You can't really do that anymore. So I definitely recommend that you would, register yourself on those job boards that interest you. And we'll go into that into detail as to where you can do it. But trying to book a couple of meetings before that you fly out. So then, you're best prepared.
So that's a real good point, actually. And let's dive into that a little bit. And that is about the preparation that you should do before you arrive. So you've kind of made a decision, okay, that you're going to come to Dubai maybe for a few weeks or a month. I definitely would recommend 3 months is a good point, because I think you underestimate one thing that I've learned. I think job seekers and job hunters underestimate the time it actually takes. And especially because you're going out to a new country. And if it's, literally, if it's cold, like, nobody there, you haven't made any contacts on the ground with any employers or any recruitment agencies, then that 3 months, you will be surprised at how quickly that time goes. So definitely give yourself that time. So you've given yourself that time, you've kind of carved it out, okay? You've planned it, you've organized it. What are sort of kind of some of the tips that you would give, Trisha, to somebody who's coming out, and maybe some of the pitfalls that they can avoid? Because perhaps maybe people are coming out with that intention of finding work, but then finding that they're not hitting the ground quick enough. So let's kind of, what kind of tips can we give them to create that ease?
So don't forget, I guess, it's really important that you're planning from a financial perspective. So Dubai can be quite costly, expensive if you're not working. So for example, accommodation, hotels, you can have luxury hotels, or you could be staying right through down to shared accommodation with shared bathrooms and everything. So depends on, what your financial capabilities or your willingness, I guess, your budget would be as to where you want to be. But then it would be important to map out what hotel would you like to be staying in, whether that's even a serviced apartment, and is it close to public transport? There is only one metro at the, oh no, the second one is now Al Maktoum is opened up, my apologies, but still there's limited transport compared to, say, Canada, Europe, etc., where we're coming
London.
from. Yeah, absolutely. So plan accommodation and your transportation if you're going to be getting a car, hiring a car, and we can come to that, or allocating taxi allowances if you're going to and from the airport, or interviews, for example.
And typically, I love that. Okay, so we're talking now sort of kind of budget. So that's another tip. Okay, sit down, write your finances. Even if it is, look on the back of a napkin, at least have some idea. The core expenses. Okay, so you've got, right? Yeah, or your post-it notes, wherever that is, get them down, because it's important that you have at least some ideas, a little bit of clarity. And by having that clarity on your finances, I promise you, it will take away some of the stress, some of the anxiety, and you aren't going to be sort of constantly going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, okay, I haven't still found a job yet and it's 2 months in, because you know that you've given yourself enough of a runway, enough of a financial runway to be able to go out to Dubai, live there, you know, within the budget, as Trisha said, you know, give yourself that budget, whether you're going to go for the 5-star experience or it's going to be, you know, sort of the 1-star experience, you know, in shared accommodation. You talked a little bit about sort of obviously making sure that you've got enough money for sort of transportation, and how public transport isn't that widely available, perhaps maybe from the country that you are coming from. So that's something worth bearing in mind, because taxis can add up, I imagine, Trisha, you know, sort of if you're using them day in, day out. So location, making sure that where you pick, and is there any areas, or does it really matter what type of work you're looking for?
So generally speaking, I guess it really depends what industry that you are in, but common places, and again, I can pop these down in some comments below, but some common places that you could stay is Dira city center, Bergman, downtown, Al Barsha, and then JLT or Dubai Marina End. So that's, you know, that's up the spectrum of Sheikh Zayed Road, which is the main highway, freeway, whatever you like to call it. And then sort of, you know, outskirts, or you know, across or out from the highway there generally becomes a little bit more difficult, because traffic is, you know, quite significant. You're talking sometimes 2 hours, and that's without a joke, going, you know, normally, again, when there's no traffic, you know, or against the traffic, a 20 to 30-minute trip can be a 2-hour trip. So certainly,
I've heard that Dubai traffic is getting its own reputation. Doesn't it have its own hashtag or something? Because that's how bad and horrendous it is. People think New York or London, you know, but you know, or one of the biggest cities like in Delhi or Mumbai, right, or Karachi, or or Kuala Lumpur even, like, you know, can be awful. But again, if you're watching this and you're listening to this and you're thinking about making the move, or maybe you're here right now and you're thinking, oh God, yeah, I've made that mistake, let us know in the chat box, let us know in the comments below, what kind of things do you want us to be talking about? What kind of sort of tips and shares, what challenges are you currently facing right now? Perhaps maybe you've started that journey, you've got yourself to Dubai, and now you're here and you're kind of feeling overwhelmed or stressed out by the whole experience. So what kind of tips, what kind of things would you like to sort of kind of hear us talk about? So we've talked about, you know, one other thing as well, and maybe this is just the sort of kind of Indian heritage in me coming out, okay, but food is super important, Trisha. So I mean, right, we've talked about accommodation, we've talked about transportation, okay, what kind of food, like, you know, how easy, how cheaply is it for you to feed yourself? Because that's important. And that's another thing as well, okay, because if you're not eating well, right, if you're not able to feed yourself well, you're not going to have the energy to go out there and shine during those interviews that you're going to be landing once you're here, or once you've got here. So yeah, what's the food situation like, Trisha, over there?
Wow, goodness gracious, where shall I begin? So to be honest with you, eating out in restaurants and dining out, it is quite expensive, and that's generally well known. You know, it doesn't matter, even if it is classified as a regular restaurant, again, the markup compared to, say, a Western country is quite significant. On the other hand, though, you can certainly find things on a budget. You know, if you went to, say, you know, there's the areas where it's maybe not as Western affluent, you know, you can certainly get something a little bit cheaper. And again, you can cook your own meals. And
is it cheap to go to the supermarket and buy your groceries? What would we be looking at typically? So like, you know, your typical egg, milk, bread, sort of.
This is a really tough question to me, because honestly, I know that this doesn't probably give you the clear answer, but you can go to a lavish restaurant, a lavish shop, you know, your Waitrose type experience, and pay top dollar, or your organic shops, pure organic. And again, you're going to be paying top dollar for the fresh quality meals because it's all imported. Or alternatively, if you are on a budget, you can go to the markets and be paying next to nothing, you know, the 2-for-1 fruit and the meat, again, just sort of the closer regions imported food. So again, because there's so much available, you can pay extravagant amounts, or you can pay the, you know, a couple of pounds here and there.
I love that. So why don't you do, okay, so those viewers that are watching this, okay, maybe you've got specific questions and you've got certain ideas, let us know in the chat box, and then we can sort of kind of help you figure that out of what that's going to look like. Because as Trisha is saying, okay, you can come and have the 5-star luxury experience whilst you're job hunting and looking for your dream job, but also as well, you can go right down to that 1-star experience, okay? And it's just about where are you on that scale and what is comfortable and right for you. And so if you are looking for some figures, if you are looking for some insights in terms of sort of how much you should be allocating, how much you should be setting aside for transport, we've talked about food, we've talked about accommodation, what other expenses should somebody be sort of kind of budgeting on that budget that we're saying that we're encouraging them to do?
Sure. So by the way, I'll just maybe give some people a rough number. You probably want about minimum, absolute minimum. And I know that, you know, if you're probably listening for a senior level position, you could allocate a little bit more, but, you know, minimum you would want 1,000 dirham. Now you can convert that into whatever currency that you want, to cover your food expenses and probably travel within that as well. Because taxis are quite cheap, really. I mean, it's 12 dirham, again, convert that 12 dirham as the starting point. And then you're not having to go too far up and down the road to interviews, really. I mean, you know, 100 dirham a day is probably enough amount. But don't forget Salik. So that's the expense of the tolls, for the freeway tolls. You
okay, love that.
Yep. Hiring a car if you were going to be taking that option. Bottled water, people forget you can't just drink from the tap, so you'll have to certainly add that into your daily expenditures. What is necessary? Generally, otherwise it's just the cost of living.
Okay, and then is there any cost to getting hired? I just want to kind of give a little bit of alert, because sometimes, you know, like you get these alerts, don't you, that say, oh yeah, we'll help you find a job, just pay us X amount. Okay, right? I love that she's like, did everybody watch that? Everyone, she's waggling her finger. That means no. Okay, so Trisha, go on, jump into that. Tell them why that is not a great idea and what things that they should avoid. So if someone's coming up to them and saying, hey, look, you know, we'll do this, just pay us this amount, right? Why is that things to be avoided?
It's quite common, and it's sad because so many people do get sucked into, you know, the scams that these companies or organizations offer to say, if you pay us, we'll find you a job, or we're an agency that looks after the entire process of your relocation, visa, Emirates ID, everything. And then they pay the thousands of dirhams, and then alas, there's nothing, you know, it's a scam. So really, you should do not pay any money at all to any form of agency or job seeker provider, I guess, where they guarantee you a job. So it actually is illegal at the minute in the UAE to be for where job seekers are charged if there's no services in terms of, you know, like the resume or the actual product that you're getting. And you should not be, you know, paying for a job, giving any commission or anything like that to receive a job. So certainly be aware of those. Now, I do know, and be careful, some of the agencies charge a fee to register your CV on their platform. Just be wary. I mean, a couple of them are just a couple of dollars, but still, it does add up. But don't be paying large sums of your salary, for example.
Okay, and so, so that's really important. Okay, if you take anything away from today, that's one of the biggest pitfalls, because, you know, Trisha will have been on the other side of this and seen this firsthand, where, you know, you've had candidates come to you, saying, oh my God, I spent thousands sometimes, of sort of dirhams, you know, looking for, and I was told and I was promised this dream, and then nothing transpires, and they've just like disappeared and just sort of kind of ghosted. So yes, please folks, if you're watching this right now, you know, this is the advice. These are the things that, it's almost as if these are the things that we see in our clients that we're now sharing with you, giving you the insights so that you can create your sort of kind of journey to Dubai with that little bit more of ease, without the stress. Because we know job hunting and being on the recruitment cycle is stressful. There's no getting away from that. It takes a particular mindset. You know, it requires you to, you know, one of the things that I am going to say, you know, and this is going to be one of my tips for you today is be kind to yourself during this time. It's all too easy, and I can understand when the pressure is on, especially if you are sort of the main breadwinner and you're the provider for your family and extended family, to put that pressure on yourself. And perhaps maybe even we've got a bit of FOMO going on. Perhaps maybe you've seen other friends, family, colleagues kind of making it, right? They've made it out to the West or to the Middle East again. They're living the dream, and you're looking, from sort of kind of outside in, thinking that's what I want to do. And it's great that you have that drive. It's great that you have that motivation, but also as well, remind yourself that this is a process. Okay, one of the things I was talking just the other day this week, where I was talking about, job hunting success. Job hunting success is not secret. It's not a magic pill that you take once and that's it. Boom, it happens. No, it's a step. It's step-by-step process. And if you can understand, and this is going to be some of the things that Tricia and I are going to be going into more in the next episode, where we're going to be talking about some of the more tips about what you should be doing, what that recruitment process, the whole process looks like for the UAE Dubai market, and what you can be doing to kind of position yourself so that you're learning the advantages and moving your way with ease through each of those steps. But as we sort of kind of cover more sort of things about somebody who's thinking about coming over here, we've talked a little bit now about someone who's coming out here for the first time. What advice would we give to somebody who's already made it, who's in, but before we do that as well, let's talk about any kind of visa costs, right? And sort of kind of the paperwork aspect, like, getting the right to work, the right to stay as well, because I suspect that there's going to be some cost in that as well. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll jump into those that are already living and working in the UAE Dubai, and are now thinking, I'm ready to make the leap into the next phase of my career.
I was going to mention this, so I'm really glad that's lucky. So first of all, there's a couple of different options. So Dubai is always changing. There's lots of always innovation occurring. There's new rules and regulations. So, just make sure, and I always encourage you, make sure, don't take my word, go and check, because the government certainly takes things quite quickly. Things happen, as advancements occur. So please always check the official government website. I can again pop that down there. But at the time of the recording, so you can have a couple of different visa options. There's 1 month tourist visa. You can have a 3-month tourist visa. The UAE has also announced that you can work remotely and live in the country. So before this, you used to have to, you could only live in Dubai if you had a visa from a country in Dubai, an employer in Dubai. So then they changed that, so you could work remotely. So you could have, a Germany passport or visa, but then live in the country under your employer back in Germany. So that certainly gives you the opportunity to be, living in the UAE.
Enjoy the lifestyle and what Dubai has to offer, but at the same time still be on a sort of, whether it's Pakistan or Germany or Europe, or even Canada, you could still be living off that. And so they give you that option. And is it a very complicated process to go through, Tricia?
No. Yeah, so depending, again, the rules generally do change quite frequently, especially with all this COVID situation that was occurring. So just please, I'm really conscious of that. But so it depends on what passport that you hold, whether you enter the country with or without a visa. So, for example, maybe some people from, say, North Africa or Africa in general might have a different visa requirement entry from someone from Kuwait that's coming versus someone from Australia. So generally speaking, though, check from what passport holder you are before that you come. Otherwise, you can either A, do a pre-approved visa process, or B, get one on arrival. And then, of course, depending how long you've got the entry for, then you can stay accordingly. And I would love next topic or next session, discussion that we have, to go through the new UAE labor laws, because there's some fantastic changes that have occurred to support the employee. So that would be a great topic.
Oh, I love the sound of that. Is anybody else loving the sound of that? And if you've got questions about that, drop them in the comments, because what we'll do is we'll pick them up, and then obviously for the next show, we'll kind of pick them up and we can use that to sort of kind of cover the topics that we want to talk about. Okay. As always, okay, these are going to be sort of kind of fast, short-paced shows that we're going to do. And so before we sort of kind of sign off for today's show, final sort of kind of thoughts, or final sort of kind of things that you want to sort of kind of leave thoughts, I think, about for those that are already in Dubai, okay, that kind of made the leap, that made that brave, had courage, made the leap, came here, okay, are now working here, but are feeling as if now they got themselves in a bit of a rut, maybe they're looking for more financial growth, maybe they're looking for more sort of growth in their career, in the work, that the type of work that they're doing, okay, Trisha. So what advice do we have for them, okay,
That's
Trisha?
a good question. So a lot of, you're right, a lot of people generally, they'll accept any job that they can just to get in the UAE, get employed, and then build their network up, and then to hopefully land a better opportunity. So this is certainly a relevant question, because I see a lot, and even my own clients are like this. So generally speaking, I always suggest a couple of things. So first of all, make sure that the next opportunity that you're going to take is one that you feel comfortable to settle in, because you don't want to be having that high turnover of jobs on your CV, your own mindset, your own career, multiple turnovers. Read the fine print of your contract, because sometimes some contracts or organizations, unfortunately, will say, if you leave within the probation period, or if you leave within the fixed term contract, you are obligated to pay out the contract or to pay some form of lump sum. So really ensure, and this happened to me 6 or 7 years ago when I first moved to Dubai in a nursing position. Okay. I am faced with it. So make sure that you read the fine print of your contract before leaving or signing the next offer letter.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. I know it's the boring stuff, right? Like, who reads? It's like, when you're signing up for Spotify or Netflix, okay, they give you 100-page terms and you're just like, who is going to read that, right? You just press agreed, okay? And I can understand, and I know why it's so tempting to do that, right? Because you're just kind of like, oh my God, someone wants me, yay. And especially after all the ghosting that employers can do as well to you, okay? Or being told that, right? Or being told that you're not good enough, or they've gone with another candidate, right? All of that rejection builds up. So you think, oh my God, right, okay, I'm just going to take this offer. It's just wonderful. And then you don't read the small print. And we're not saying, here's the thing, okay, it's not that necessarily that's a bad thing, okay, because for some of you, you might be looking for job security, and knowing that you've got to work for that employer, you're going to get to work for that employer for a year, 2 years, however long it is, okay, gives you that job security. So if that's one of your values that you're looking for, then great. But also, if you're somebody who knows, okay, look, you're going to be using this as a springboard, this is going to be something that you're going to use to then get you into the next role, then just be mindful of that, because you don't want to be hit with a big bill at the end of it, having just done the work. So it may well be then that the strategy is then you work out your contract. So if that's a year, typically, Trisha, how long do people get kind of locked in that way? What have you seen? What have you seen in your clients?
You mean when they're moving to the next position?
Yeah, like, and if they are being given and if they have signed a contract, like, are we talking months, or are we talking years that they're locked into that contract? Is there like a typical timeline?
So, and this will cover this in the new UAE labor laws, because there's certainly some new stuff that's come out, but generally speaking, the probation period is either 1 or 3. Some organizations do have 6-month probation periods, and then it would be a fixed contract. However, now it's going to a 3-year contract. So there is a couple of changes, but we can certainly go through those. And generally speaking, most job seekers who want to look for the next opportunity, they've taken the quick win, generally don't even see out a year.
Got it. Okay, so that's really useful. And do you know what? I think this is a great spot for us to kind of pause this conversation. We're going to continue this in the next show. Trisha's already told you what we're going to have coming up, okay? We're going to be talking about the new labour laws and what that means for you as a mid to senior sort of, professional looking to either secure your next job in Dubai or to find your first job in Dubai. So do come and join us. And speaking of coming and joining us, Trisha, when is that going to be? When can people catch us talking about, their success strategy for landing jobs in Dubai with ease?
Absolutely. Well, now that the UAE has moved to this standard working week of Monday to Friday, I am available on the weekends to do amazing recordings. So 2 p.m. Sunday, Dubai UAE time, we will be, up and available on YouTube. In fact, we might even go live. Perhaps we can see how this goes. Otherwise, I'll just be sure to upload these on Sundays at 2 p.m.
Fantastic. So make sure you come and join us. And say people that have been watching this, okay, and they're thinking, oh my God, you ladies have given us so much value. You're giving us so many tips. You've made me think about things that I hadn't even thought about, okay. Where can people go? If people want to kind of tap into us more now, where can they go? So Trisha, where can people find you?
I am best accessible via my email, info@impressivecv.com, or otherwise my LinkedIn, Trisha Chapman. And I'll again pop that down in the comment below. And yourself?
Again, but my favorite, and we didn't even get time, we talked about so much other things that we didn't even get time to kind of talk about LinkedIn, the platform of how you can use that. So perhaps maybe in the next future shows, we'll kind of tap into that, of how you can use LinkedIn for your job search, whether you're in Dubai or you're not. So LinkedIn, so just put in Meet Sabiha, all one word, lowercase, and you'll find me. Then you can connect with me, and we can continue the conversation there as well. So this has been super fun and awesome. We hope you've enjoyed watching us, sharing our tips. There's been so much goodness that we've given you. Your final thoughts, Trisha, before we say goodbye for today?
Looking forward to the next episode already.
Fabulous. So you heard it here first. Okay, come and join us. We're going to be talking about labor laws and why that matters to you if you're job hunting in the Dubai, because it might be not necessarily glamorous